So, the title of this one should be self explanatory, but this is the story of one crazy weekend where we almost killed my friend's dog. So, one of the bands I was in at the time got offered to play a music festival in a nearby town over. Our then guitarist, we'll just call him John for now, lived about 15 minutes from the venue. We wouldn't even have to pay for a hotel room. We could all crash at his place and just party for 2 days. Being the group we were, we obviously decided to do it big, so we call up the squad. To do it on a level this big, we had to get the whole group involved. We had to put together the Avengers of Inebriation. Step 1 was bar prep. So we got our boy Danny on board and we put some coolers in the back of his Kia. And stick around for stories about that thing, cause that Kia has been on some adventures. And we created a mobile bar situation. We have bottles, beers and ciders were all on deck. We had an extra cooler of ice, red Solo cups, and mini Solo shot glasses. We were prepped up like we were about to go all in on an anime convention, but with far less body pillows. Step 2 was to provide a 420 hookup for the weekend. Oh, did I mention that this festival was on 420? Because that's like kind of part of it. This is where our resident ganja mage would shine as he packed up quite a bit of flour and some brownies. No ordinary brownies, mind you. These were brownies crafted in mind for the highest of holidays. His plug hooked them up with some serious gas, and he iced them with leaves and, writing and stuff. They were super cool. They were also fucking huge. You could tell this was an entire tray of brownies, but cut, really big. These were some mega doses. I remember Danny asking for a brownie, and Dom shut him down and said, "You can have a quarter, my dude." So my band played on day 2 of the festival, and we spent day 1 checking out all the awesome talent out there. There were rappers, rock artists, a country band, there were metal bands. It was a really cool mix-up. It was an indoor-outdoor show with 2 stages inside of a taco shop on a neighboring street corner. It was dead-ass surrounded by homes and apartments. Kinda off the beaten path there. So we get there with the bar car, and a few friends from other bands are chilling with us, taking a few shots, sipping brews, and the homie Dom gets dropped off. Dom is always right to business with the tokage, and this being 420 exactly, we just started hitting his pipe in the middle of the street with Solo cups in hand. I knew we were not going to get fucked with on the highest of holidays for taking a puff on the sidewalk, so we continued to consume. Music, the booze, and the tacos flowed for the entire day. We must have been there 7 or 8 hours. And with designated driver in hand, we decided to retire back to John's place for the night. Safely at John's, we continued our binge with drinks in hand, and shit was going down. Munchies set in, and we decide to call in a pizza order. So the pizza's on the way, and the party's going by the fire pit, and John decides to kick on the hot tub. And this is where we learn that some of us were way too crossfaded for that shit. Dom had accidentally leaned onto a pipe in the center of the tub, and when I say that thing snapped, I mean we heard that from the back patio. It sounded like some serious damage. This was also our first time at John's house, so he was a bit shaken because the hot tub had belonged to his mom. So we decided not to mess around with the tub anymore for the night, and that's right around the time that the pizza showed up. Now, John had a beagle named Bama, and this little shit would 100% go after anything you leave in sight, so we had to take the pizza inside and put it way up on the kitchen counter out of reach of the dog. We take our food outside and kick it back on the patio chairs by the fire, under the stars, consuming our beverages, and discussing how awesome the show is going to be tomorrow when our band got to take the main stage on day 2. Bama was of course begging for pizza the whole time, and by begging, I mean he was aggressively jumping on our laps, attempting to steal that shit out of our hands. So we sternly refused to give him our pizza, and he took offense to that. This little shit goes to Dom's bag and pulls out this big old plate of brownies. That whole fat batch that was cooked up by the plug. Of course, we're so engaged in drunken conversation that we don't see this dog viciously tear into the turbo nuke brownies that were cooked up for this occasion. So the dog's about halfway into this plate of brownies when one of us asked, and I really don't remember which one of us it was, "Whose plate did Bama get?" All of us had plates in our hands, so the only logical thing to do was jump out of our chairs and try to get the plate out of his mouth. That dog tore that paper plate out of the plastic wrap, and he growled so hard whenever we approached. Like, he was having those brownies. Now, dogs already shouldn't have chocolate, like, for medical reasons, right? Let alone a whole ass tray of brownies loaded to hell with the devil's lettuce. It was a nightmare waiting to happen. Naturally, John just lost his shit. He fell apart. The next hour or so was kind of a blur, as I remember John demanding a smoke break and just pounding whiskey. At this point, he was super lit and super emotional. I will always remember how messed up he was and how horrified Dom was that he may have just killed an animal. So John was in a complete stupor by this point, and most of the boys were already pretty crashed out. So it was just the homie Squatch. Oh yeah, he was there. You'll hear more about that guy later. He was just chilling on the couch. Dom was at the table contemplating his possible pet murder, and John was on the ottoman in kind of a weird sitting position, playing Fortnite with the controller upside down. Surprisingly, he just wandered the forest, whacked out of his mind, and he still made 4th place. Well, I just sat there wondering what tomorrow would be like now that all these events had transpired. I awoke the next morning to literal screaming as John's mom had woken up and found Bama, who at this time could not even walk, lying on their kitchen floor. He was having a hard time standing on his own and was just kind of crawling around. It was a super scary sight. We eventually got Bama propped up on the couch, and he just kind of laid there like a catatonic zombie dog. After we apologized to his mom and cleaned up after our party mess, we got out of there and went to lunch to kind of escape that situation. After what the dog did, there's no coming back from that. You can't really do too much from that point on. It's up to the universe now, you know? Just that much brownie alone at one time without the medication should have been, catastrophic for a dog. But anyway, we continued our debauchery and bar car practice on day 2, but the spirit wasn't really in it. The buzz was kind of killed, what with, possible doggy doom leaning over our heads. About an hour before our set, we got a phone call from John's mom that after lying there for a good 8-9 hours, Bama had regained consciousness and returned to the world of the living. At that point, we went full throttle. We smoked up, drank up, and loaded up for the set. There was this moment where we all just kind of looked at each other during the sound check, and John gave me this nod where, I knew we were about to explode. And did we ever? This crossfaded, taco-loving crowd brought the energy when we started playing, and it was a show I will never quite forget. To this day, I still wonder what kind of ride Bama went on. I've been greened out myself on a couple occasions, just a few, but that dog must have had the full out-of-body experience that day, and to be real, I was kind of jealous. We wanted those fucking brownies. So that's it for this one. Let me know if you like this kind of story, because we got plenty more for you guys down the line. Do all the YouTube notification stuff, and I will upload again soon.